When I was 12 years old, I immigrated to America from China. I didn't speak a single word of English and spent my first year in ESL students, which is English as Second Language curriculum, learning how to spell Wednesdays and identifying colors and animals from pictures. 4 years later, when I was in high school, I went to my guidance counselor for college application advice. The counselor told me that I shouldn't even try to apply for Ivy Leagues because I wasn't good enough to compete. Plus, my family was poor and relied on food stamps, so I shouldn't try wasting my family's money on application fees. 2 years after that conversation, I got into Harvard. Three years after college graduation, I went on to continue my MBA degree at the Harvard Business School. People ask me how I defied my counselor's predictions and got into Harvard twice. The how, or rather the mental process, is what I would like to talk to you about today. I like to use the following metaphor. If you aren't allowed to get on the elevator, that'll take you to the next level, something that's very meaningful to you, have the audacity to build your own stairs. Work backwards from the final goal. Define the intermediate steps, then step by step, milestone to milestone, march your final goal and forge your own path, because when you get there, you're that much stronger, that much more resilient, and that much better. Think about a time when someone told you you aren't good enough. Too young, too female, too this and too that. But how do you find the confidence to challenge the system and build your own stairs? Many stories glorify the single moment of heroic achievement, one burst of brilliance, one defining event. But they often gloss over the true path to success, the two very important qualities of heroism. First, the audacity to fail. Second, determination. So let's talk about failures first. When you build your own stairs, there's no blueprint. So you have to be creative in how you attempt to reach your goals. And part of that creative process is failing over and over and over again. Failing is hard. Failing hurts. Failing scares us. But failures are very important. In the book, The Growth Mindset, Stanford professor Carol Dweck said that in a growth mindset, people believe that your most basic abilities can be developed through hard work and dedication. Brains and talent are just the starting point. This view creates a love for learning and a resilience that are key to accomplish great things. So you see, failures are actually important because failures give us the opportunity to learn and become better. So the next time you're building your stairs, be brave to try, to experiment. Have the audacity to fail gloriously because that's actually when you learn the most. After my counselor told me to not even try, I realized I couldn't rely on the system for help. I researched the college application process and requirements myself and gathered advice from websites, books, info sessions. Knowing I wasn't competing on equal ground, I experimented with different ways to uniquely tell my story, my growth and potential. I received more rejection letters than acceptance ones. The first time I applied to Harvard, I was waitlisted. But hey, you just need one time to reach your goal. to make all that failures worth it. The second thing I want to talk about is determination, which I define as, are you going to get up and try again after each time you fail? Are you willing to work on your milestones every week? Are you able to harness your mental strength to march towards your final goal day in, day out for years? Now let me tell you another story, a more recent example, a stairway I'm still building. When I first came to America, I started learning English alongside native speakers. Many students made fun of me. I became extremely self-conscious of my accent. When I realized that my fear of speaking up was holding me back, I made it my life's mission to become an excellent public speaker. With that final goal in mind, I worked backwards. Now, instead of avoiding public speaking, I actively sought it out. Even though it terrified me every time, it still does. I started small. I mumbled and stumbled through my first couple of class presentations. It was humiliating, but I kept going. I forced myself to volunteer for every class project to present. I forced myself to ask questions in college. I forced myself to answer questions in front of lecture hall. I ran for office, failed, and tried again. I applied to business school because I heard that debating in front of 90 overachieving MBA students was a daily exercise. I applied for the business development position at Google because I learned that presenting on stage, speaking at events, was a core job function. I made it my life's mission to practice this skill. What I hoped my stairway would lead to was this opportunity to present at one of my team's most important industry event, called the Game Developer Conference. My application to speak at the event was quickly turned down by my own teammate because they said they don't take chances on the most important event of the year. I was too new, too young, too inexperienced. Once again, I had no help and had a door shut on me. But just like with my high school counselor, I decided to build my own stairs. I joined Toastmasters to work on a different element of public speaking every week. I volunteered to speak at events that's so small and remote, no one else on my team wanted to bother with. My very first professional public speaking engagement was at this indie game festival in Brazil in front of 100 startups who were too hungover from the previous night's partying to actually listen. But they made a great audience. Every time I blanked out on stage, I learned to prepare better and respond more smoothly. Every time the audience missed my point or message, I learned to reframe my message to resonate better. With every feedback I received, I learned and became better. With every event under my belt, I improved my skills, but more importantly, my confidence. Although, to be honest, it never gets easier. You just get better. 2 years later, I applied to speak at the same flagship event again. This time, because another talk I'd given at a previous event a couple of months earlier received the highest rating among attendees, I was quickly accepted. Finally, I presented on behalf of Google in front of a 2,000 people live audience with 17,000 more streaming online. I built my stairs, I reached the next level. Let me summarize my talk with some bad news and some good news. The bad news is that there are no shortcuts, no back doors, no easy way to success. The good news is that as long as you adopt a growth mindset, have the audacity to fail, and the determination to work on your goal consistently for years, no matter how many doors are shut on you, you can build your own stairs. Let me end my time with you here with 2 parting questions for you. First, if you're no longer afraid to fail, what would you attempt today? Second, the next time someone tells you you are not good enough, how would you build your own stairs? Thank you, everyone.